Hi, ladies. I am so excited to be here with you today. Listen, I'm going to be diving into a ton. And I know typically I would be talking about something maybe about perfecting the ad copy or the seven-figure funnel or time blocking, maybe even money management. Or I think we dived into habits a few days ago. So I know that we're typically essentially talking about like X's and O's, but today I want to talk to a particular set of people. Okay. And when I speak, I also want the people that this doesn't relate to listen. The reason why is when you are stepping into coaching, you're going to have lots of different types of people. And it's important for us to never eliminate that one particular person because of their circumstances, right? And so you're going to need to know this as a coach. You're going to need to be able to guide others. And so listen up. Now, if you're the other type of person that you're the person that I'm speaking to, I want you to know that your circumstances do not define you and you do not have to stay there. Everything in life has and can be healed, right? It can be remedied. It can develop a positive habit so that you can combat. Maybe it's always being late. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's building your dream life, whatever it is, you're able to really take that on from a standpoint of I can and I will. And this was a mindset that I shared when I was broke. Okay. And I will share with you that it didn't matter for me whether or not I had money or not. I knew that I could make something happen no matter what. If I said I was going to do it, I was going to do it. That is just the type of person that I am. So whenever I found myself in a position that maybe I needed to fund something that was important or come up with something last minute for maybe like a bill or something like that, not that we should always be in this for a lack of better word, we shouldn't always be in this season of chaos, right? Like there has to be an end to it. There has to be an end to that chaos. And it is truly us being really aggressive with our dreams and our finances, as well as our habits, right? And so something I wanted to chat with you guys is because I know that many times when I'm talking to some of you, I'll talk about, hey, like, what do your ads look like? And more often than not, it's, I don't have ad spend money, right? Or maybe we're talking about coaching one-on-one or doing the done for you, or even utilizing our systems. And it's very easy to say, I just can't afford that, right? But I would dare to ask you, with anything that you're doing, how much is it truly worth to you? Okay. And I don't just mean this within my coaching or the things that I offer. I mean truly to you for your dreams. How much is it worth to you? For me, it meant everything. It meant buying back my time. It meant actually having control over my money. It meant a different type of association. It meant a different type of life. I can firsthand tell you that it is a world of difference living where I was before versus where I'm living now. The people talk differently. The conversations are better. There is more information. It's like the more money you create in your life, the better people are around you. And I'm not saying that someone that's broke is not a good person. I'm saying for the sake of your mindset and for the sake of the trajectory of your future, who you are around matters. Okay. And so the first thing that I would say is check your association, right? Who you're around, how are they speaking? Are the first things they say, like if you're out and you're looking at certain things, is the first thing they say is that's expensive, right? So, or maybe it's like, oh my gosh, I would never pay that. Those are probably the type of people that you don't need to be around. I'm not, obviously, I understand if we're looking at something from a perspective of like, okay, we're looking at a house and it's overpriced and, all those type of things. But I'm just talking about basic necessities. If you're looking at a sweater and you're like, no, never. Well, you're already putting yourself in a position where you're thinking with a broke mentality. And I am totally guilty of this. In fact, it is something that I constantly have to work on. I constantly have to work on not having a poverty mindset, not saying, hey, that's too expensive for me. Not saying, oh my gosh, I would never pay those things. Who would ever need a boat? right? Like the type of things that we're saying, we have to be careful, because then what you're essentially telling everyone around you, including yourself, and speaking into existence, because the power of the spoken word matters, is that I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to be a person of wealth. I'm never going to have the type of association that helps motivate me to be better. I'm never going to have the type of association that when I go out to dinner, we're not actually fighting over what half mine is. I learned, like, as I started creating and stepping into different brackets, most of the time people aren't fighting over what their half is. It's usually one person that's like, I got it this time. And it doesn't even matter if it's $700, $800 bill or $100 bill. It's like, I got it this time. Right. And I understand that some people hearing this, it's like, what is the point with this helping me right now? Because I am struggling. Like, this is not helpful. And I get it. When you're going through it, like, things can feel like they're not helpful, but I'm sharing this from a certain perspective because I have been there. I've been to the point where I had something that I needed to pay for, whether it be mentorship or tools, and I didn't have the funds. I was a single mom. I was working multiple jobs. I was also going to med school. Like, I did not, excuse me, allergies. I did not have the funds that I guess the big boys played with. Right. And so, what does that really look like? I had a situation where I was paying a mentor essentially $1,300 a month. Super low amount compared to what I know other coaches are making. That's okay. 1300 a month. Okay. But I was broke 99. Like very, very broke. I can't even tell you. Like, I would, the type of broke that when you go through the drive-through and you order, and mind you, I don't know why, if you're broke, why you're at the drive-through, but broke people tend to do this. They tend to still have these habits in place that aren't producing true fruit for their future. They're still going to the Starbucks run. They're still getting their nails done. They're still getting their lashes done, their hair done, all this other stuff. It's like, who are you trying to impress? That's like one step that I really needed to look at my own life. I guess I'm speaking to myself here and say, I'm not going to do those things, or I'm going to do them myself, or I'm going to think outside the box. Right. Anyway, so it was 1,300. And for me, and for anybody that's a client of mine, I always tell them to break things down smaller, even within their habits, or maybe even like, okay, I need to time block. I'm going to start doing that slowly so that I can actually get in a group of things. I want people to be successful. Okay. So 1,300. So what I did was I did 1,300 divided by 30 days. And that was like 43.33. So we're going to round up $44. So $44 a day. I had to figure out how to create $44 a day and still be able to pay my bills. So that was like extra. Where can I come up with $44 a day? Well, there are multiple ways to do this. I think it's interesting when a woman or man will say, I need to have a side hustle. Many times, what they mean by that is they need to be able to create a high amount of income in a short amount of time for nothing. Like, they want to basically do nothing, but have this grand thing that's going to work for them. Mind you, there definitely are certain things that can create a high income in a short amount of time, and it can be thousands of dollars. But I guess I'm speaking to the person that was just like me, that didn't really know those connections. And I didn't have Facebook as a resource either, or at least I didn't know I had Facebook as a resource. Like, there weren't all these Facebook groups that's like hustle for moms, which I see that often. And honestly, some of the things I read, I'm like, that ain't it, sis. That ain't it. Okay. They're feeding you the dream. You're going to do whatever it takes to buy into the dream. And then you're going to be stuck there because you have no guidance. You're not changing your habits. You're not changing your association. You're not changing your mindset. And so you're going to end up right back where you started and looking for another hustle. Okay. Hear my heart here. I guess I'm speaking to myself. Okay, so I am not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but hopefully this is a video that for you you're able to take and say, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Okay, so rather than looking at things like, man, that is so expensive, start asking yourself, what does my dream mean to me? Right? How much is my dream worth? How much is my dream life worth to me? Is it worth me going all in and giving whatever I possibly can so that I can achieve the things I need to achieve? Let me just tell you right now. I remember when my mentor first told me, and they're not my mentors anymore. I've upgraded. We all have seasons with people that serve us, and so now the type of people that I need to be around and seek are far different. And it's nothing against the people that I used to work with. It's just that you start to really elevate, and when you're making 6 7 figures, and you are a Christian, in my opinion, it's time for you to make sure that you are around like-minded people who are believers, who are also sharing that type of income, and are excited for their lives. Right, so nothing against who I was with, they just really weren't believers, and that's okay. So anyways, so 1,300, I was like, okay, 1,300, that's like $44 a day. What do I do? And I remember to work with them, I had to give them an initial 1,300. So I didn't have time to sit and figure out the whole month. Like, it was like, that's it, or they're not working with me. So your girl went home and analyzed, what do I have in this house that I can buy back later? What can I sell that I will no longer need for right now and can adjust and can rebuy it when I'm in a better place with money? So I sold my couches. I sold my TVs because I was like, when you're in the grind, you probably don't really have time to sit down and watch a lot. Most of the time, you're really exhausted. Not to say you won't have times where you sit down and watch TV, because sometimes I get it. That's a good decompressor for some people. But for me, I analyzed what is doable for me. I went through my closet and I combed through any expensive jewelry that I had. I went through and looked at anything that I had that was paid off, like maybe it was an iPad. I sold my really expensive country boots. Yes, your girl has always worn country boots, even before Tennessee. So I sold my really expensive country boots that I had bought a while back. What else did I sell? Oh, I went to my neighbors. This is in Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, they have things, something called HOA. I know they have that everywhere, but like in Las Vegas, they're kind of like the mob. It's insane. They actually own the rights to the land before the actual land developer. How that works, little mob like for me, okay? Anyways, so you have to have your numbers painted on your curb appropriately, right? Like, you have to have someone come and paint. So guess what? I went through and I said, hey, I would, for $20, I would love to paint the numbers, repaint the numbers on your curb. Would you allow me to do that? And guess who made $20 in their whole entire neighborhood? I went to every single house, and it was $20 per house. I think there was like 70 houses. Okay. And if someone couldn't give me 20, I was like, what about 10? Would you do it for 10? Okay. Like, so I did that and I painted numbers on curbs. I took my stencils and I sat there and I painted them and I made it look super nice. And that was my hustle to make sure that I came up with the things that I needed to come up with. Okay. Well, what comes after that? Once I was able to come up with that, I then started thinking outside the box. Okay. Because again, single mom, multiple jobs, you know, I didn't have like time to necessarily, like, I guess, go all in with one particular thing. I had to do something. I had to come up with ways that were kind of quick. Okay. So before Instacart, I did personal shopping. And so I would do personal shopping for someone, and that was like 30 to $40 every time I would do that. And I know that's super low, but at the time, my goal was, I just need $44 a day. right? And if I didn't make it this day, could I recoup the next day? Okay. The next thing is Facebook Market. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I would type in the more wealthy areas in Las Vegas, and I would at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. be scouring Facebook Marketplace. I also would get up super early. Sometimes I would get up at like 6 or 5:30 or 6 just to look at Facebook Marketplace because people would put things that they no longer needed for free. Okay. So I was able to go and pick up like an expensive looking couch and essentially flip it. Okay. I was able to pick up, maybe it was like some kind of electronic or a treadmill or something like that. And then I would flip it. What would that mean? It meant I would take it home, clean it up, take awesome pictures, repost it on Facebook Marketplace. And that's how I was earning extra income. Then there's yard sales. Okay. So once that kind of hit, I would take money that came from that or the painting of curbs because I didn't stop doing that in my neighborhood. I then positioned myself in other neighborhoods. Okay. And so there was, yeah. And so I would position myself to do that. And I would find like all different types of yard sales. And I would go to those yard sales and whatever they consider junk, I would be like, oh, wait, like I'm looking at pricing. I'm on Amazon looking at stuff. And I can't even tell you the amount of times that I would find something and I would be able to flip it for like 100. And I think the highest that I was able to flip something was like $700. And it cost me, I think, like dollars, like not even that much because most people are just trying to get rid of what they consider junk that really could be your treasure. Okay. And I taught this method to, well, I didn't teach this method. My husband actually taught this method to our children. And so many times they'll do the same thing when they're looking to do something outside the box and create extra income. They're like, let's do some yard sales. All right. Let's see what we could do with that. The next thing is understanding that you could very well do some lawn care, on your times off, right? So even if you're a woman, like go do some lawn care. People need their weeds pulled. People need, lawn mowing. They need all those different things. And if they can get it at a way more cost-effective rate, especially where I live. Like I remember when I first priced the lawn care where I'm at, they told me it was going to be $1,200 a month. I'm on 2 acres of land. And I was like, for cutting the grass? I'm confused because in Las Vegas, I could pay someone like $50 a month to do the lawn, right? And so it was just such a big, like, what are we talking about? And that's lawn care, right? So if you went in and, depending on the area, but even in your area, if you were like, hey, I'll do it for $120 or $100, do some lawn care, like that is extra income that you could be doing. It could be nannying. Maybe you take on some more kiddos within your house, right? Like if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're like, I can't necessarily do all those things. I have kids. Okay, well, could you open up your home to a few other kiddos? I'm not talking about a daycare, but a few other kiddos that instead of that person paying a daycare, they pay you a fraction of the cost and you're taking care of their kiddos in additional to yours and still doing all the things. So we need to start thinking outside the box when it comes to creating income. I think too many times we limit ourselves to, oh, it has to be a 9 to 5 or it has to be something sexy. I have a friend that he started off his business, as a side hustle. Okay, his wife was going through treatments and they needed to come up with extra income, so he went and he started power washing trash cans around his neighborhood. Now it's literally a multi-million dollar business. Okay, so don't sleep on the basic things that can turn into big things. Okay, so when it comes to creating extra income, it's really breaking things down to a smaller space. So I want to talk to those of you who are like, I just don't have money for ads. Yes, you do. 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 You could do $1 a day on ads. Okay. So that would be $31 for ads that month. You can come up with that. You need to stop speaking these absolute lies into your life. You need to start speaking abundance and start working backwards. If you know you have to pay for something, work backwards. Okay, what is it going to take to get there? Because then when you're able to do that, your mind is, because automatically your mind is like programmed to be like, we can't do that. It's too hard. Not going to happen. That's why when you go to the gym and you're working out, initially you're like, I'm done. I gotta quit. But you gotta have someone next to you that's like, nah, you can go harder. Like, we can do more. We can do better. Go again. Do more. Like, this is my husband and I at the gym. I'm like, I am done. And he's like, nah, I know what you're like in many levels. You could do more. Okay. So that's why it's so important to also partner with the right association, the right coaches that are motivating you, that are pushing you forward, and that you can be honest and transparent with them so they can help you essentially activate that hustle mode. Okay. So don't ever say, I can't afford it. Stop saying that crap. Yes, you can. You can afford it. It's just a matter of breaking things down to a smaller state. So with ads, you could do $1 a day. My husband and I, we have started many of our businesses at $5 a day. In fact, this book right here, sorry, this one right here, it made us 6 figures in 6 months last year. That's right, you heard it right. 6 figures and 6 months. So digital marketing, when people are like, oh, I'm new to the digital marketing space, I got you. 1000%. I also have the 7-figure funnels. They're going to take you where you need to go. Okay. That is why you're here. You're here because you want to level up. You're not here because you want another free thing. You're not here just because you want some semi growth. You're here because you want to radically change your life. And I'm going to help you do that. So when you're looking at ads, look, $5 a day, that's for 30 days, that's $150. $150. Now, I will say this is where it's important to have the proper ad copy. You have 2 seconds to get that person's attention. So it can't be something that is super wordy. It can't be something that doesn't draw their attention. But if we're working together, which many of us are on here, I'm helping you come up with that 2 second, wow, that's what it needs to be. Okay. For your ad copies. You're going to have to pivot frequently, right? Like you'll put an ad out, you're like, I'm not getting what I need. You put another, you tweak it, you tweak it, you tweak it. Okay. Now I've gotten to the point that I can get ads for between 10 cents per lead and I would say 30 cents per lead. If it is an ad for a higher ticket, I would say that I could now do like $5 to $8 per lead. Okay, this is higher ticket. I'm talking about like, that person's paying $20,000, $30,000 for a service of hours, right? So that looks like a whole different ballgame. But guess what? We started at $5 a day, and you can even start out at $1 a day. Because check this, if you got like a 30-cent lead, like think how many, even just with $1, you could get in a day, right? That's why I say like, hey, put $150. Like all you got to do is put $150 in a separate bank account. Do not have it commingled with what you got going on, because then you're going to have something come up and you're going to be like, oh, I got to take from that. No, you don't. You don't touch that money ever, 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 ever. You can be like, I'm starving. Don't touch that money. Go figure something else out. Money is all around us. It is simply a tool. We overthink it frequently. We're constantly overthinking it. And yes, I understand when you are in a state of maybe you're eating in pantries. Okay. Maybe the church is supporting you. Maybe you're there. Then you are especially the person who needs to be listening to this. You need to get your hustle on. And it can't be a situation where you're constantly having to maybe, because I do know that there's some women, they're like, if you join this MLM and you do this, you can reach this. Yes, 100% you can get to those numbers. I am not knocking those things. But if you're in the position where you're like, I need it now, I needed this money yesterday, you better start thinking outside the box. Start activating your hustle mode to the max, and stop speaking death over yourself. I can't afford it. Yes, you can. You can afford anything you put your mind to. In fact, I dare you to today write down the things that you radically desire. Write down that $1 million house. Write down the car that you want to drive, right? Like write down the people you want to bless, because I know that there's many people in here who are like, I don't really care about the fancy stuff. I just want to be able to serve others, right? But we cannot serve from a place of emptiness. We need to serve from a place of abundance, and that starts with our mindset, right? And so I want to make sure that you guys really understand the power of this. So when I post this, I'm even going to like write a list of some out of the box hustle ideas that some of you guys can be doing. Okay. And yes, some of them are not sexy. I actually had a friend who could not afford her daughter's private school at all, but she was like determined to not have her kid in public school. She was like, I'm I don't want her in public school. I know the things that are going on. They don't match our values. I just don't want to do that. So what she did was she worked her 9 to 5. And then when her daughter was asleep, she would have her, whether that be her parents or I think at the time she was going through a rough time. So her current husband was not in the picture. So pretty sure it was her parents or a friend that would be there for like 3 hours, someone that she didn't have to pay and was like, here, I'm going to feed you and you can Netflix, right? And they were there for 3 hours and she would go into office buildings and clean her heart out for those 3 hours. Okay. So do not tell me that you cannot be in a position to afford something. Because when you truly tell yourself, how much is my dream worth to me? You're going to activate all the things. There is something about a woman that is on a mission that is not only sexy, but you cannot interrupt her at all. When we are on a mission and we're confident and we're like streamlining things, there's no stopping us. So moving forward, stop saying I can't afford it. Stop saying I can't do ads. Stop saying all the things. Yes, you can. You just need to start thinking outside the box. Take the money that you earn and apply it and put it in a little bank account. 100, you could do 150 bucks, guys. $150 for your ad spend. Absolutely. If you wanted to level up in coaching, I did it. I did $1,300 a month, right? And I was so broke. I can't even tell you how much money was coming out of my bank account. Like it was just kind of flying away. All right. I had such high expenses. It was insane. But I activated my hustle mode and I did everything that was necessary. Okay. Are you going to choose yourself or are you going to choose the excuse? These are the big questions I want you to ask yourself. Am I going to choose myself or am I going to choose the excuse? Stop choosing the excuse. That is not who you are and that is not where we're going. So, see you next time.